Hi, I'm Ryan Holets. I'm a police officer from New Mexico. In 2017, I had an encounter that changed my life forever. I had just started my shift and responded to a call for service at a gas station. When I arrived, I saw a man and a woman sitting on a grassy slope. I recognized the telltale signs, a needle, a spoon. I knew immediately that they were preparing to inject themselves with heroin. Sadly, this is a common sight for me. I encounter the ravages of addiction every day. But nothing could prepare me for what I discovered as I approached them. The woman was very pregnant. In my shock, I asked her if she knew that she was harming her baby by doing drugs. She crumbled and burst into tears. Two worlds collided as I knelt down beside her, a police officer and a homeless drug addict.
Can you believe how tragic and how awful that scenario would be? Here you run into a very, very pregnant woman who is a homeless drug addict, and she's about to shoot up heroin with a needle and a spoon in her hand, and you come up as a law enforcement officer to try to stop this situation from happening, and you find out that the woman is very, very pregnant. I mean, here's a street person who has thrown their life away and is addicted to drugs. Here's a law enforcement officer, two different people from two different worlds and two different situations. And when you set up that situation, that is a recipe for a catastrophe. But let's see how this story ended.
A police officer and a homeless drug addict, brought together by forces outside of our control. As we talked, our humanity, distinct from our stations in life, was made abundantly clear. Her name was Crystal, and in the midst of her suffering, she confided that she loved her unborn baby. She wanted the best for her child. In that moment, I saw her the way that all of you who know and love an addict see them, as fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, children, cousins, and friends, as human beings, full of value and dignity, but robbed of their potential by this disease. When Crystal said that she was looking for a family to adopt her baby, God showed me exactly what I had to do. Without hesitation, I told her that my family would welcome her baby through adoption. Today, our beautiful daughter Hope is a thriving 2-year-old. Crystal is fast approaching 3 years of recovery. She is a dear friend and a constant inspiration to me and others.
Isn't that a remarkable story? I said earlier that when people from two different worlds collide in this kind of scenario, it's a recipe for disaster. But not on that day, not back in 2017, when an officer approaches a homeless drug addict and sees that she's pregnant, very pregnant. He has compassion on her, and he asks her a very important question. Do you know you're hurting your baby? And she did know that. She knew that well enough to know that she immediately crumbled. She began to cry and began to feel terrible about herself. And at that moment, something incredible happened. That officer did not see her as a homeless drug addict who had made all kinds of bad choices and who deserved to be in this circumstance. No, he got down on her level and he had a conversation with her, a loving, caring, respectful conversation. And he said to her, if you'll let our family, we'll take your baby. We'll raise her as our own. We'll serve you in that way. And the result of that is that little baby Hope is living in a beautiful family scenario, and her birth mother has almost been 3 years without drugs. That's a result of good, earnest, loving, respectful, kind, merciful dialogue. And isn't that the kind of experience that we would hope to have when we're in conflict with another person? Not to be, pointed out our mistakes or be confronted with all of our errors, but to have somebody say to you, hey, I love you. How can I help you? How can we make things better? And that takes two. It really does. You can't have someone willing to help you and then reject them and think that's going to come out okay. If that woman would have rejected that police officer's offer of compassion, the scenario would have come out very differently. But as a result of the way he loved her and showed mercy to her, we have a beautiful story that emerged out of a very, very serious situation that could have been a complete and utter disaster. So I want to encourage you, as you think about those scenarios in your life where you don't even want to talk to somebody because they are from another place, they're from a different perspective, they hold a different religious belief, and you don't even understand it, and you don't even want to understand it because, it's so different, and it's so beneath you, and it's so outside of your comfort zone. Show mercy. As the Apostle Paul said, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. And that is a beautiful thing to consider.